Yo, what is going on, guys? Got a story for you here today titled Ex-Girlfriend Left Me Because She quote-unquote deserved better. Now I'm wealthy and she is 41 and alone. So this is one of those stories, guys, that really has a silver lining. And the silver lining is you don't have this woman in your life anymore, okay? I see a lot of stories from dudes. I get sent a lot of stories where their ex-girlfriend or their wife leaves them because they think that they can do better. And in my opinion, this is a blessing in disguise because a lot of these women don't actually deserve a relationship or a marriage from you in the first place, in my opinion. But guys, before we jump into this story, don't forget to like the video on your way in. Don't forget to subscribe if you are new here. And let's take a look at this particular story. It says, a man reflects on the painful breakup in his 20s when his longtime girlfriend left him, claiming that she deserved better. Years later, the tables have turned. He's successful, he's confident, and he's financially secure, while she is alone and reaching out again. Okay. He says, I'm a 43-year-old male now, and she was a 24-year-old female when we first started dating. I was 26. We met at university, and we were together for nearly 5 years. During those years, I was broke. I was struggling to get my startup off the ground while she worked a decent office job. We lived modestly. She always said that she believed in me, but looking back, she believed in the potential, not in the actual reality. Again, right? Like, so this is one of those situations where the women say, oh yeah, it's fine, right? You're on your grind, you're hustling, you're trying to make things work, but don't worry, I'll be with you forever, okay? And then forever rocks around and she's like, you know what? I'm just going to bounce. I'm sick of waiting. You're not successful yet. I could go out there, I could date some older guy who has more money, so I'm going to do that. And that's exactly what she tries to do. He says, the breakup hit me hard. She sat me down one night and told me that she deserved better. I remember the exact words. I need someone who already has his life figured out, and I can't keep waiting for you to grow up. It was not malicious, but it was cold. She left the next day, packed her things while I was out, and moved in with some guy who worked in finance. I didn't even get a real goodbye. Yeah, so this is hypergamy in a nutshell, okay? The woman found what she perceived to be a better option, and she ditched you for him. I mean, this is completely standard, completely normal modern woman behavior, guys, right? Where if you're a dude and you're struggling, the women will put up with that to the extent to which they just find another guy who's willing to give them a relationship who is not struggling. Okay, there's a phrase that, a quote that women wait at the finish line and they pick the winners. This is absolutely true. And if you're a guy and you're not doing well, a lot of women will just trade you out when they have the opportunity, okay? And people, they get confused about the word opportunity. What I mean is, the woman needs to at least try and be sure that she can get a relationship out of the next guy. It's really funny when they fail. They think that they've got another guy lined up, but that guy refuses to give them a relationship. That's always very funny. But women, what they do is they try to line up that next relationship first, and then they leave your ass. And there's a lot of situations where women can't quite do that, or maybe they're smart enough to realize that this next guy is not going to commit, and so they can't. Even, like, it's kind of like looking at a relationship, looking at a marriage. The woman's already gone, you can see it. She just hasn't had the opportunity yet. But anyway, let's continue. He says, for a year after that, I barely functioned. My business was flailing. I was living on instant noodles, and I felt like a failure. But something changed after that first year. I stopped hoping that she would come back. I stopped thinking she was right. I poured everything I had into making something of myself, not out of revenge, but out of desperation. He said, I got my first big break at 30. A software licensing deal came through, and that money let me scale the business. By 35, I had a team of 12, and we were turning a profit. I bought my first house at 37. Congratulations to him. He says, I wasn't flashy, I was focused. I dated occasionally, but never seriously. I wasn't looking to prove anything. I was just building the life I once thought we'd share. This is also really funny about these stories, man, is like, dudes will be screwed over. Okay, absolutely be screwed over by a woman. And then women after that will always complain that men aren't interested in commitment. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll have, I see all the time, women in their 40s and they're like, wow, I can't believe all of these men, they just don't want relationships. Like a lot of these older guys have been through so much crap and they simply don't want to go through it again. It's really simple, right? They go through horrible experiences and people will say, oh, that's cowardly. But, you know, another group of people will say that's common sense and they just don't want to deal with the nonsense again. You know, and this is true of very successful guys. This is true of guys who are older or a combination of the two. Like a lot of these men won't actually sacrifice their peace of mind and their sanity for dealing with women who are horrible. You know, they'd sooner go to the Philippines, really. I was out today, guys, and I saw an older fellow with a Filipino woman, and it just makes me think because it's funny because all the women, right, the women who are local to the area, they always get pissed off at that stuff when dudes go out there and they find a better woman than a Western woman. They go to like Southeast Asia and stuff like this, and they return to their countries with different women, and oh my goodness, it pisses off modern day women. I find it so funny. I find it endlessly hilarious, right? Because these women will actually cook for you and it won't taste horrible. You know what I mean? Crazy. Anyway, let's continue. So he had a team of 12. He was doing well, 35. Got his house at 37. 2 months ago, out of nowhere, she messaged me on Facebook. It started casual. She said, hey, saw an article about your company. Congrats. Looks like you've really made it. Then came the nostalgia. She said, do you ever think about us? That one hit differently. She'd married that finance guy years ago, divorced by 38. No kids. She still looked good in her profile pictures, but something in her eyes felt worn out. I mean, women looking good in their profile pictures means nothing. And the reason why it means nothing is because they put so much makeup and filters on that you don't actually know what they look like anyway. But this is funny. Of course, she's divorced. You know what I mean? Like, she probably left, probably tried to take his money, probably thought that she could maybe get an even more successful guy, and that didn't work out well either. Very funny stuff. Very, very hilarious. He says, we chatted a bit. She asked if I wanted to grab coffee. I declined politely. Fantastic. She pressed, said she always regretted how things ended, said she admired what I'd done with my life. I wasn't rude. I just told her, you were right back then. You did deserve better, and so did I. Oof. Absolutely brutal. Good response, though, honestly. I mean, I wouldn't have responded. There's no reason to talk to these women at all. You should leave them blocked on Facebook, is my opinion. But good response nonetheless. He says, I didn't say that to be cruel. I said it because it was true. Back then, she needed someone who had already made it, and I needed someone who could stand by me when I hadn't. Neither of us were wrong, but we weren't right for each other. She made her choice and I made mine. So check this out. She's still looking for someone who ticks every box, but she's no longer the one choosing. I've grown, I've built a life, not just money, but peace, confidence, self-respect. She's 41 now, she's single, she's tired. He says, I don't hate her, but I don't owe her anything either. I've heard this phrase is really funny, this one here. She's still looking for someone who ticks every box. I have actively heard women say this in real life, and I find it funny. They'll be like, you know, they'll be pushing 30 and they'll be like, yeah, you know, I'm getting older now. So with dating, I'm looking for a guy who ticks every box now. I hear that. And in my head, I just laugh. It's so funny because what it really means is like, okay, not only do I need a man who's attractive now, all right, but I need a guy who's actually going to pay my bills. Okay. No more of these shenanigans. No more of these chads. Okay, I need a man who's going to pay my bills. And what happens when women get these men, by the way, do you know what they do with the loyal guys who pay their bills? If these men aren't attractive enough, they just cheat on them anyway. You know, especially if the women have already had their fun, they always end up going back to these guys regardless and just ruining the marriage. So hilarious stuff here, guys. You know, it's unfortunate that this guy spent 5 years of his life with this woman, but at the end of the day, it is a bullet dodged, so he did something there. Guys, we're going to be leaving it there. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.